There were a couple of days when I missed school. And when I came back to school, I had a note that said I had the mumps. That is not the truth. What happened was this. Now, it started at Christmas time when I got a transistor radio. Remember those? Yes. It was rectangular, it was black. Where the speaker was, it was silver. It had this lighted dial, and you would change stations by turning a little disc on the side. And it had this long antenna and this earpiece. So this white wire that went from the radio up to just one ear. But I loved that radio. And especially at night, after I'd been tucked into my canopy bed, I would pull up my Mary Poppins quilt and I would listen to the radio. And I would listen to KOMP, local station. And if I was up really late, KOMP signed off at 10 o'clock. And when they signed off, they always played a record of the Port Angeles High School Marching Band playing the Star Spangled Banner. So, they're dead air. So I would start cruising the dial. And what I discovered is that I could get stations from way far away. Yeah, so there was this time where I got a station from Mount Vernon. Yes. Well, I didn't know there was a Mount Vernon, Washington. I thought it was Mount Vernon, like George Washington's house, like in Virginia. But it didn't matter. I got this sense that there was something special that happened with radio waves at night. Now, what also happened in the 6th grade is that I needed braces. And my orthodontist, rather than gluing the brackets that hold the wires, rather than just gluing those brackets onto my teeth, rather, around each tooth, he put a silver metal band. And that band held the bracket that held the wire. Now, I'm sure some of you are familiar with the James Bond villain by the name of Jaws, who just had like this metal mouth. Well, by the time my orthodontist was done, you could have held a picture of Jaws and a picture of me side by side, and you would have thought that we were twins separated at birth. Now, also in the 6th grade, it turned out that I needed glasses. And being ever fashion conscious, realizing that I had a lot of silver in my mouth, I realized that I needed silver glasses. So I got some, and the lenses were shaped like stop signs. So when all of this was done, to look at me, there was like a whole lot of metal going on. Well, just after I got my glasses, I am in bed. I've been tucked into my canopy bed. I'm under my Mary Poppins quilt, and I'm listening to the radio. And KONP is signing off, do, 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 do. And I start tuning in, and all of a sudden, there is this voice. And it is this man's voice, and he is speaking very passionately, very forcefully in a foreign language. And I'm thinking to myself, well, Canada is a foreign country, but, my father's Canadian, but he speaks English. I didn't know about the French. The truth, I didn't know what language it was, but I'm listening to this. It was fascinating. He was so passionate. And words that I remember were Nostrovia and Nit and borscht. And so I'm listening, and it was interesting, but eventually I get tired, so I turn off the radio and I go to sleep. Well, so the next night, I'm in my canopy bed and underneath the Mary Poppins quilt, and KOMP, do 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 do, and boom, there's that voice again. And so I'm listening to that voice. It's fascinating, and unbeknownst to me, 3 shiny black Suburbans with government plates pull up in front of my family's house. Apparently, they had been over at Toby's. But they pull up at the door. My mom and dad opened the door. My mom said that there was this group of men there. They are standing there wearing dark suits, the white button-down shirts, the narrow ties, the Ray-Ban sunglasses. They are all holding badges. They are from the FBI and the CIA. And there's this guy who's got this hyperbolic dish he's got this earpiece. He pushes past my parents, he sweeps the room, and he's like, it's upstairs. And my mom said that they all just went running up the stairs and they suddenly just burst into my bedroom. Exactly. Well, after they peeled me from the bottom part of my canopy of my bed, we discovered that they were really surprised too. Because the last thing they expected to find was a 6th grade girl under a Mary Poppins quilt listening to her radio. They thought they were breaking into this high-tech, sophisticated Russian radio listening station. Because when they figured it all out, there was some sort of combination between the transistor radio, my braces, and my glasses. It created this super sensitive radio receiving device. It was much more sensitive than anything they had in the federal government. It was much more powerful than anything they had down at the Coast Guard station at the time, which is how they picked me up. You didn't know they had those down at the Coast Guard station, did you? No. So, well, finally, this translator pulls up a chair next to my bed. He's got a notepad, and he starts translating what is coming over the radio. And I'm just sitting there. And every now and then, the radio signal kind of fades, so I have to go, or... And the translator is writing things down, and they were being very careful around me. But what I picked up on is that there was a Russian submarine captain who wanted to defect, who was requesting permission to sail through the Strait of Juan de Fuca. I don't know where the borscht came in. Well, I mean, that morning I was just exhausted. And so my mom said I didn't have to go to school. But that was cool, because I got to catnap all day. And I watched as those agents brought highly sophisticated radio equipment up into my bedroom. And I had to move my Girl Scout stuff and my monkey bank off my desk, because there they installed a red phone. And so that night, as my mom tucked me into bed under my Mary Poppins quilt, and I had my radio and I tuned in, and, all the agents are there, and KONP is signing off. All the agents are standing at attention. And then boom, there's that voice. And just then, the red phone rings. The agent goes up, he picks it up, and he says, "Yes, Mr. President." "Indeed, sir. We shall try, sir." "Thank you, sir." He hangs up the phone. He says, "We have to try to make contact." So he pulls out a Morse code key, one of those little switches, and it's got 2 wires on it. And he puts on these rubber gloves, and he attaches one of the wires to my braces, and one of the wires to my glasses. And then he goes to transmit, but it doesn't work. And as he's adjusting the wire, he touches my lip, and there is this doot, 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 doot. I am a transmitter. So he's suddenly like doot, 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 doot. He communicates with the Russian. And after he does that, doot, 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 for a little while, he stands back and he goes, "Okay, I've asked him to show us that he's sincere." In my room, there is silence. And then this voice comes over the radio. I will never forget it. Da 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 da. And I'm like, oh, he listens to KONP. They get KONP all the way in Russia. Well, right after that, the agents, they pack up my bedroom really fast. And in time, they ended up confiscating my radio and my braces and my glasses for national security. And as I understand it, they were used to come up with a whole new generation of listening devices. And, I mean, nobody ever said this to me directly, but, it was not long after that the wall came down, the breakup of the Soviet Union. Yeah. But the reason why I am telling you all of this is because this was recently declassified. And, what I discovered is that my code name in all of this was Mary Poppins. Yeah. The whole operation was called Operation Supercalifragilistic I know, and even just to hear myself talk about it, it just sounds so atrocious. But to think I was just in 6th grade, I really was precocious. But I couldn't tell anybody that at the time, so I just brought a note that said I had the mumps.